Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Sidetrack Sunday number 4 for the month of November in 2024. It's been a long day. Oh my goodness! If you all only knew, it's all the wonderful prep for Turkey Day. Yeah, the man of the hour is here. It kind of stinks right now until I get some things figured out with the actual intro video. I'm doing things a little bit differently. I'm actually running the music from StreamYard and the intro from OBS, and then and of course everything is not in sync. So it is what it is. We deal with it. We move on. So again, welcome everybody to Sidetrack Sunday number 4 for the month of November 2024. So yeah, Bob, I have a tendency for the original intro that I had at one point ran for like 4 or 5 minutes, and then I backed that off, and then I've done a couple. We're being photobombed. There's been a Rachel sighting. Oh my. Anyway. Hey, Rach, they say hi. Oh my goodness. Anyway. So the intro is a little goofed up at the moment until I get a chance to play around with it and fix it and so on and so forth. So,
Hi, Beth.
Yeah. I believe she's going to wrap Christmas presents. I think. So, anyway, let's go ahead and get into. Let's see who we've got hanging out with us tonight. We've got Opa Dodge, Mr. Anthony Dodge, the model train outsider in the house. We've got Caboose 1973 Channel 1. We've got Dave BNSF N Scale. Easy for me to say. We've got James over at the Dundas Junction Model Railroad. We've got Getting Back on Track with Steve. Welcome in. We got JD over at Grandpa Rails. We've got JJ over at the Great Northern. We've got Hot Rod Rodney 25 hanging out with us. We got Mr. Joe Rader over at the Block Rock Central. We got Mr. John Benacki in the house. We've got Mr. Dwight over at the Curly Express. We've got Lynn McCurdy and the HDMMRC hanging out with us. And for whatever reason, I'm noticing that the camera decides it wants to go in and out of focus, and I have no idea why. Hopefully that doesn't continue all night long. We've got Bob over at PK&W Model Works. Welcome in. We got Possum Bayou in the house. We've got me, although I'm not 100% sure I'm here. We've got Mr. Ron Moen in the house. We've got John number 2 over at the Schuylkill River Valley. We've got JP over at the Southern Pacific and the Inland Empire. Welcome in. We got Mr. Tom Garassi. We've got Todd Armstrong, Trackside Action. Welcome in. We've got Wigwag Workshop. And, hey, Wigwag, you're not the last one in here for a change. We've got Zoe over at Zatoro Eastern Railfan Productions. Welcome in, everybody. I do appreciate you all hanging out with me on a Sunday evening. So, there's a couple things that I want to jump into real quick before I get into what's going to be down here in front. And that is the fact that Rachel updated me a little bit earlier. And unfortunately, with the way I've got cameras set up right now, one of my webcams decided it didn't want to play nice with the computer anymore. So I'm down to 2 cameras. One of them is overhead here, and the other one's looking at me. I'm surprised it hasn't broken yet. And we've got another Rachel sighting.
I got the wrong bag.
Oh my gosh. And here it is. I was about ready to talk about you too. So, yeah, well, So anyway, Rachel did mention to me, you know what, before I go that far, I got to back up 1 second. If you all notice, and of course, most of you have been in here before, so it's, you know what the deal is. There are a bunch of people in here that are in blue or purple, and they've got a wrench behind them. Those are my moderators. They're here to keep me on track and keep you in check, or is it keep me in check and you on track? I have no idea. Neither one of them happens, so it is what it is. Trade chairs. Rachel, they're asking me to trade seats with you. Already.
They're already bored of you?
Go back upstairs.
I asked if I received.
Oh, no. See?
I'm here.
Uh-huh. And I was just getting ready to tell them before you walked in about what you told me at the dinner table, and that was?
Oh, yeah. So, first of all, thank you so much for everybody that contributed to the crab feast, that likes posts, all the things, or just sent good wishes. And for those that did attend, I really, really appreciate it. I am happy to announce that we raised over $110,000 for Stella Maris Hospice. So it was another very successful year. It was a really good turnout. So yeah, again, thank you so much for your support. And I know I said I'd come back and let you all know what we did. And we finally finalized the numbers. So there you go.
And there she is.
So yeah, again, thank you so much.
Oh, the real host is here. Move out of the way, right? Thanks, Dwight. So, anywho, yeah, that was very good. Very good.
Yes.
Yeah, $110,000 for Stella Maris Hospice.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
Yeah, I know. But, yeah, very, very awesome. And I thank the folks that were in the community here that donated, and we appreciate that. So, and with that, well, you can.
See ya. I'm going to be back again. Who knows? I don't know.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh, wait, that's already not the right bag.
So, anywho, let's see. And now that everybody is done picking on me and had the Rachel sighting, so and we'll get on to the next thing. So have Rachel take over the live stream. You all are bad. Jeez. Oh my goodness. As I'm sure a few of you have noticed, Rachel's, yeah, that's my daughter. I only had half of what, never mind. Anyway,
I can still hear you.
Hey, Ray and Joe, I'm close but far away in West Virginia. Oh, come on, Grandpa. You need to get over here, man. Anywho, for some of our sharp-eyed guests noticed, there has been or will be a change. Can I formally announce that I'm tired of dead leaves? Yeah, sure, same here. Absolutely. There has or will be a change coming to the Sidetrack Sunday crew. And that is the fact that, unfortunately, due to personal reasons, two folks, that would be Nissy and Rick, have had to step aside. And we've kind of had this in our back, in our back pockets, I guess, to a point. But we'd like to, and in fact, they will be on a stream coming up very shortly. But we'd like to welcome aboard Bob from PK&W Model Works and Brian from the Iron Horse route, the Denver and Rio Grande Western. I'm sure that everybody in here knows who Bob from PK&W Model Works is, and everybody, I'm sure, knows who Brian from the Iron Horse route is. But John, number two, can you kind of, if you've got their channels, handy, can you kind of post them in the chat, sir? That would be greatly appreciated. And ask and thou shalt receive. Yep. So that is the two newest members. We're still working out some details and working on a few things, but we're really looking at they're probably going to start in January, which has been the normal thing for us. Usually, when somebody kind of drops out or we start new in January. So that's when we're actually going to start, is going to be in January, and we're not sure. I'm not sure at this point. That's why I said we still have some things to work out. The schedule may shuffle a little bit. It may not be where John's number one and then, number two, number three, and then I was number four. We may switch things up a little bit. We'll see how things work and see how it fits together with the five of us. Dave is still going to be here. Dave is, obviously Dave from DB Tech is not going anywhere. So we've got John, we've got Dave, we've got myself, and now we've got Brian and Bob. So this is going to be cool. I'm really looking forward to what Brian and Bob are going to bring to the table. I know that Bob is in the process of building a space for his model railroad and a shop for his work. So that's going to be really cool to see. It would be nice to be on track and on subject. Yeah, that ain't going to happen. Come on, man. This is Sidetrack Sunday. Oh, if we didn't get tossed off the rails from time to time, hey, Yeah, I know. It was really a shocker as to what happened with them. Like I said, for personal reasons, they're stepping aside. They're always, just like Jason and Heath, they're always welcome to come back. I do want to say one other thing, and that is the fact that we will have our annual our annual Christmas show, or holiday show, I should say. Our holiday show will be on December the 15th. I will be hosting that for the gang. I expect, I'm not sure who all is going to be there yet, but I would suspect that Brian and Bob, that will be their first indoctrination into the Sidetrack Sunday goofiness. So other than what goes on in the chat now, because I know that Bob's here, I don't know if Brian was available or not. But regardless, absolutely, so but yep. So that's where we are at the moment. So let me go ahead, and we're already 10 minutes in. Well, actually 15 minutes in, because I start early, but let's see here. Let's go over to Ding. All right. Let's see how bad this works or goes. All right. So I've broken out a relic here. Literally. Let's see if I can get this thing a little bit closer. Configure video. Can we zoom in a little bit more? Oh, that's the brightness. I didn't want that. Camera control. There we go. Hey. All right. Well, that's as far as she goes. All right. Cool. Let's see. Yeah, I know you all can't see what I'm looking at yet. There we go. There it is. Sweet. So, what we have here is a failure to communicate. No, This is an old TYCO 209. This is an 040 switcher. This is completely die-cast. This is one of the original pieces from my dad's collection. This here came with 2 flat cars and a gondola car. The gondola car is actually made out of, I believe it's Bakelite. And what did you use? So, like I said, this thing actually was in what they call was actually in an old white and green box. The box was completely white with green lettering. That's how this is from the mid 50s. So it makes it 70 some years old. But one of the things that's always been a bit of a problem, we used to run the living heck out of this thing. And at one point, there was a fiber drawbar between the tender and the locomotive. Now, the tender picks up power from one side or from one rail, and then the locomotive actually picks it up from the other rail. Exactly, Bob. You're right. Late 40s, early 50s. Exactly. And like I said, that whole set is actually sitting over on my display shelves. It's that the rest of the cars are still in the boxes, along with the bobber caboose. But I don't run this thing because, well, obviously you can't get parts for it anymore. Which is one of the reasons why my dad had gone ahead, God rest his soul. This is actually cut out of an old medicine bottle top. So this is a piece of plastic. And it works very well because it is a little flexible. Hey, Adam Cruz is here, and I know Dave from DB Tech showed up. So, yep. Yeah, exactly, JP. This is a very old piece. This is a very old. Yes, it does. It definitely makes it older than me by about 20 some years. We won't go there. So, we got a plastic bottle top. Now, if you all caught Dave over at DB Tech, what was it? I guess it was the early or mid-October show that he did. Well, he did a show where he was making 3D printed drawbars. And of course, I just put black right over top of black. And I was like, damn, that's really nice. So no, Zoe, this is actually from the 1950s. They're actually I was trying to see if there was maybe a date inside of here, but there really isn't. Only thing I do know is that this was part of my dad's collection. So this thing goes back into the 50s. For those that don't know the full story, I'll back up here just a second. We talked about this 2 weeks ago, I guess. Yeah, well, actually, it was 2 weeks ago because it was right after what would have been my dad's birthday. Hey, Rail Artist is in the house. Welcome in. My dad, when he was, I think it was like 9 or 10, somewhere in that time frame. He had rheumatic fever, couldn't go outside. So my grandfather built a train platform that had 2 tracks and a trolley figure 8. And that was my father's railroad, and that's where this came from. He had the TYCO, he had a Revell locomotive. So, and I've still got that stuff. He had an old Varney steam locomotive. I should have grabbed those and brought those over too, but I really wanted to focus on this. But this was his first train set. And that's what we ran on that old 4x8 that he had. And then we ran it on the 4x6 that he built for me, which had the Christmas tree on top of it. And then, of course, then we took those two and we put them together. And then we kind of expanded it and went with two 4x8s. And then while I was in the service, I built a yard out of a 2 foot by 5 foot piece of plywood. So we had a 2x5 yard. And then that morphed into the 13 foot by 11 foot layout that I had at my old house, which then morphed into this monster, the 34 foot by 8 foot that I've got here. So that's where we're at. I am working on Rail Artist, an old TYCO die-cast locomotive that, unfortunately, over the years, the fiber drawbar went bad. It broke. So anyway, and Dave from DB Tech was working on a very similar locomotive a couple weeks ago and had these 3D printed drawbars. And I made mention of the fact, man, that would be really nice to have something that actually fit this instead of this piece of white plastic that is currently there. So what we're going to do is we're going to, now that I'm done babbling, and you'll have to pardon me for a minute while I focus on getting these screws out of here without losing them. And of course, the one thing that I did tell Dave is that I was going to try and get some measurements off this tender, because he 3D printed a tender, but it's not the style that this one's in. So I told him, I said, I'll get you some measurements, and that way you can actually have, wouldn't you know it? I should have brought over a file, because I don't think the interior, the interior hole is not large enough on any of these. Well, that actually, wait a minute, that one might be okay. That's a little, yeah, I don't think I can do it with the screwdriver's too small. All right. Yeah, it looks like I'm going to have to, your bold spot screen. Oh my goodness, that's great. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go get a file. So I'll be right back, folks. While I'm over there, I'll grab the other two locomotives from his set. All right. Welcome to the sound of silence. Yeah, okay. Interesting choice of work surface. Yeah, this is a piece of egg crate foam. I actually had this from work. So yeah. Oh, you're only as old as you feel, rail artist. You're only as old as you feel. Yeah, well, you know, John number two's birthday is today too. So 2 months. In 2 months, I'm going to hit the speed limit. I'll have one of those birthdays that I can't turn it around. We won't discuss birthdays. So rude. Yeah, happy birthday, John. I gotta do it. Yeah, the good old double nickel. And that's what I've got to look forward to next year. Yeah, January the 11th. I'm not looking forward to the double nickel. Well, let's see if the file did anything. If not, I've got another idea. Oh yeah, that definitely did something there. All right, that looks good. Try it over on this side. Yep, there we go. Yep, we're good. All right. Woohoo! Now, let's see if I can manage to do this without screwing something up. Well, I can't screw it up because I got to screw it down because screwing it up would really not work very well at the moment. Kind of hard to work on it in that direction. Yeah, I think we're going to be okay there. If not, I've always got my my pill bottle top draw bar. I can put it back in there. Sammy Hagar special. Yeah, I saw that. Well, wouldn't you know it? This screwdriver is actually magnetized. That will help. What do you know? Of course, you all can't see a daggone thing that I'm doing because my big ass hand's in the way. All right, it's back together. Woohoo! That's younger Ray, no plain complaints. Drawbar issues are old guy issues nobody talks about. Oh my. All right. Well, I'm going to move that out of the way. Move that out of the way. And then I'm going to bring over my piece of test track. And we're going to zoom the camera back out before it goes absolutely bonkers. Of course, it's still going bonkers. Are you going to stop defocusing? All right, I guess not. All right, this thing is not a GG1. It should not be that hard to put on the track. All right. Let's see what we've got here. All right. Well, at least I know it goes back and forward. That's a start. Of course, the only problem is I noticed earlier, I think the light bulb that's in here is starting to short out against the top of it, so that's not a good thing. But anyway, we were talking about a little bit ago. This is what I was talking about, the TYCO green and white box. And it would be really helpful if this stupid camera, let me try to zoom it in just a little bit and see if it stops. There we go. Going out of focus. And of course, as soon as I move the box, it does. But anyway, this is what we were talking about. The green and white box. Now this is the caboose. And of course, the insert is, this box is, the insert is falling apart. But that's the caboose that came with it. So it's a 4-wheel, what they call bobber caboose. And this here is also a form of plastic. It could also be Bakelite. I'm not 100% certain. It doesn't feel like the gondola car, which is in one of these other boxes. So we'll put that off to the side. All right. Surprise of the engine ran. You know what? That engine, it's an antique, but like I said, I get it out every once in a while and run it. Now, somebody just said horn hooks. Well, if you actually look at the front of this locomotive, it's got the original TYCO, which was hook and loop. That's what was originally on here before my father went ahead and put horn hooks on it so that he could run other things with it instead of just the TYCO stuff. So this is one of the flat cars. Now the interesting thing of it is if I look at the bottom of these, I think I was trying to see, I think they may actually say Mantua. Now, the interesting thing with this is if you notice, this has got logs. These logs are not original. These logs were put on here by my father and grandfather back in the 1950s. So these things are pretty much petrified. Hey, Randall Olson's in the house. Welcome in. And then, of course, this one here is just another one. This one's only got 3 logs on it, but it's the same type of deal. And I keep them, like I said, I do not run these cars, namely because you can't get parts for them. And number 2, I've got enough of other stuff that's a lot more modern. And these I cannot, I probably could convert them to KDs. But with just with the way that they are, it would, yeah, I don't think I want to mess with them. I'm going to try and keep them as vintage as possible. So now on to the last car in the set. And there we go. It's a Rock Island gondola. And like I said, this is made out of Bakelite. And to be perfectly honest, they actually do say Mantua on the bottom and not TYCO. But at any rate, the boxes say TYCO. The bottom of the car says Mantua. But yeah, this here is basically Bakelite. And like I said, I do not mess with these because I really don't have a reason to, and I keep them in the box. Adam, eventually, hey, Almar's in the house. Eventually, I am going to build myself a display case. I kind of have a set of display shelves around the corner from me, over my right shoulder over here. Those that have been in the house have seen the shelving, where I keep all the extra, or keep all the more unique pieces of rolling stock and such. But you know, actually, I didn't want to turn that off because since we're going down memory lane here. Yeah. This here is an old Varney Docksider 040. this thing is heavy. From what I remember, when I have had this thing apart, there is a huge piece of lead up inside of this, right in front of the motor, that goes all the way from, I think, about the sand dome back here at an angle all the way to the front. This thing is a beast. Again, because of its age, I do not like to run it because I can't get parts for it anymore. But just to show you, now granted, this thing hasn't run in a bit, so it's going to take it a... But yes, it does run. Looks a little like the steam engine from Thomas, except for the fact that Thomas is a British-looking locomotive, and this one here is definitely an American. But anyway, so yeah, this here is an old Varney from the 1950s as well. And like I said, I don't touch it because I'm afraid I'm going to break it. Hey, Dave, BNSFN scale. I did say hi to you earlier. I'm sorry. I just happened to think about that. All right, let's go down memory lane one more time. All right, so for those folks that have been around for a while, do you recognize this dude? JP is saying that that's a Baker coupler on the front of that TYCO locomotive. White Towers, Ultras, and Lone Pine, and John Allen's Gore and Defeated used them. Oh, I didn't know that. I'll have to go back and watch that video, watch part of that video that I have that has some of the Gory and Defeated on it. Anyway, be careful with those fragile antiques. Yeah. Let's see. Can't exactly tell what the other units look like, but this looks like Grand Trunk colors. Well, no, not quite, Randall. This is a Santa Fe. But this one here definitely has the markings in the box from 1956. So this is one of those oddities, and I know that that Dave brought this up on one of his live streams recently about the meat grinders. Well, I've got one better. How about a rubber band drive with a clutch, nonetheless? Hey, Russ, welcome in from the Rockin' O and HO trains and stuff. Yeah, this thing has not only got a belt drive, but it's also got a clutch. This thing is awesome. Let me tell you. And the wild part of it is I actually went on eBay and I went looking for Revell locomotives a while back. And this was probably 5-10 years ago. Actually, it's probably been 10 years. Trying to find Revell locomotives that I could go ahead and have something to keep this thing going. I picked up 3 of them, and all 3 of them were different. One of them was similar to this. The only difference was it didn't have a clutch. It was literally just a rubber band drive right off the drive shaft to the gears. And then I had one that was like the one that Dave had the other week, where it was a meat grinder, where the gears were exposed. And I'm like, yeah. So here it is. Like I said, I picked up like 4 or 5 different, and none of them were like that. None of them. I had yet to find another one like this, where it's got the rubber band drive and a clutch. And yes, folks, once I get it on the track. Nope. All right, there we go. Let's see if this thing wants to. Should we go for creep speed? No, the thing of it is, JJ, what happened is the light bulb that was originally in here burnt out years ago. And then my dad had rigged something up to where he could get a bulb in here, and then that one burned out. And then, of course, I went ahead and found a bulb to put in here. The problem is instead of shortening up the leads, which would have been the smart way to do it, I just wrapped up the extra cord and stuck duct tape over top of it. That's the reason why the duct tape's there. The duct tape isn't doing anything except for holding the wiring in place. And like I said, this is another one of those. This is another one of those locomotives that hasn't run much, so it takes it a little bit to get moving. But yeah, let's go for some creep speed on a 50-year-old or a 70-year-old locomotive, right? I don't know if I want to attempt Sparky speed. I don't know if you can hear that or not. It's amazing how it's just amazing how something that's 70 years old like this is still doing what, and this thing will pull forever. This thing has got traction tires on it on one side. And the other thing of it is this whole frame is basically lead. So this is another one of those very heavy locomotives. And like I said, I've still got the original box, although the box is in decent shape for its age, considering. But yeah. So those were my dad's locomotives. But like I said, on the bottom of the box here, or was it on the side? Yeah, 1957, copyright. Oop, there we go. Is it going to focus? Focus. There you go. 1957. I tell you what, Zoe, I like I said, I'll break these. I'll bring these out once, maybe twice a year to go ahead and let them run, and that's it. Hey, Dave, Sparky 107, welcome in. Appreciate you being here, sir. Oh, yeah, I spent all day outside today. First off, cleaning up the dead leaves. Yeah, hey, Bob over at PK&W, if you want some dead leaves, I can always send you some. Well, actually, I could have. That was until we ran them over with the lawnmower. There are days where I feel like an antique, Zoe. So 24. Adam says 24 years before my time. Let's see, 57 would have put it 13 years before my time. So, yeah. All right, I am going to get out of this because I'm done playing with that. So we'll go back over here to the main cam and we can get that out of the way. Yeah, the boom that I'm actually using for the C920 was actually the mic, the boom for the microphone, which is actually sitting over here. Really? Huh. That's something, Steve. Yeah, I have no idea where the. You know what? I do know where. Oh. I just don't know if. Yeah, that's an oddity in itself. There's that one. Ooh, let's see. I think that's basically it. All right. All right, here it is. I thought I was done with show and tell. All right. Back to the bench cam. Let's transition this back over and get this thing back down here. There we go. And yeah, maybe. Here we go. Getting back on track with Steve. Okay. Thanks for putting that up there, James. Appreciate that. All right. So we were talking about the Revell locomotives. Well, the first one that I found was this one. And this is the one I was telling you about, where it doesn't have the clutch. It just has the rubber band drive. And this one here, I did not rig. This one here was rigged up by somebody else before I got it. Although the duct tape is probably me. I'm not sure exactly what the whole idea was of the counterbalance on the front either, but I haven't run this thing in a while. I don't know if it does run, to be perfectly honest. Well, it's not going to run if I don't get it on the track. I'll be darned. Now, you will notice that, yes, somebody went ahead and shaved off the lead weight on the back. I have no idea why. That was done before me. This one here is in rough shape. The side frames have come off the trucks. Half of this one's missing. I think the parts are all over. They're either over on the shelf or they're back at my workbench. But yeah, I was kind of perturbed when I found that when I got this one in the mail. I was like, well, dang it, that's not what I was looking for. So I went looking again, but like I said, those are meat grinders, and yeah, it even has a flat wheel to it. I think what it is I think the traction tires are shot on that one. Anyway, here we go. This is where those daggone meat grinders come from. This is an old Gilbert HO. And for those that have been around for a while, know that Gilbert also went over and started messing with American Flyer. This is a 4-wheel pickup, 8-wheel drive locomotive. They've got gears back in here that run both of these. As you can see, even up front, there is a jack shaft that goes from the motor to the front. This thing, I refuse to run this on the layout because it just, with those open gears, you're going to spray lubricant all over the place, and that's not cool. This thing's sold. It still has the fiber-coated wire on it, too. Oops. Went a little too far. It just went off the rails. Yeah, well, like I said, Dave, with the daggone inner workings, with the way that this thing is, the way this thing is rigged up, I mean, if it weren't for the fact that those gears were out in the open, I wouldn't mind running this thing because it's got a lot of weight to it. I mean, it's got a lot of weight, but there's just no way I could run this thing across the railroad. There is no way that with those exposed gears that I do that. Not only that, but I just noticed too, this thing is missing side frames, and I have no idea where I don't think this one had them when I got it. This was in a box that somebody had donated to me a while back. to mess with. So we go from one meat grinder, and somebody was just talking about Varney. I believe, nope, this one here is actually a Marx locomotive. This one is the same way. You've got gears all throughout. You've got the motor on top of the back here. So you've got another meat grinder. And that's exactly what the thing sounds like, too. This one here, I don't think I've had to shell off recently. Yeah, this one here is... And I'm giving it all she's got, Captain. Yeah, this thing is definitely not running very well. Of course, now that I think about it, I don't think this thing ran well when I first found it either. This was another one of those ones that was in a box of stuff that it was kind of just left to me. Yep. I really don't know if this thing... Take the shell off and it wants to run a little bit better. But I can definitely see the brushes arcing on this thing, so unfortunately, I don't think this one's going to last much longer. May just need to, my best may need to go in there and clean the brushes up, but yeah, this is just one of those neat little, another one of those oddities. Trying to get the shell line back up. There we go. All right. maybe not. Well, that's the reason why it's not lined up. It's way too far revert back. There it goes. There we go. All right. Let's see. All right, let's get back to, let's see, make Marx, a.k.a. Model Power. Possibly. Let's see. I started with TYCO. That's basically what I started with. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I think we all started with, TYCO or Lifelike. That's probably what we all started with. And over time, obviously, we realized that, okay, these things are not as prototypical as we thought. And, it's time to move on. And that's when we started going with Atherin and things like that. So, the thing of it is there's still something unique about going back and running vintage equipment. There really is. I mean, when it runs, it's great. When it doesn't run, it's a complete pain in the rear end. If anybody here watches Ron over classic model trains or Harrison over at SMT, the things that I've watched Ron go through. Oh man, to get some of that stuff back up and running. Yeah. I mean, the thing of it is to be perfectly honest with you, Zoe. Hey, Ron from the Southwest, welcome in. To be honest with you, Zoe, I've said it for a long time now. I mean, here it is. I'm coming up on 10 years as a part of YouTube. And hey, Rick's Trains, welcome in. If you take care of the equipment, if you take care of your locomotives, even some of the stuff that most people would consider, cheap, outdated, whatever, it will still run. It'll run for a long time if you take care of it. It'll run for a long time. Even the stuff that's built today, if you don't abuse it, if you run it, clean it, maintain it, it's just like anything else. Maintenance is huge, especially for something like I'm building back here. This here's the dream layout, is basically what it is, although it's been more of a nightmare lately. But this is the dream layout. And for what it is, I run a lot of older equipment. I run a lot of old AHM, older Lifelike Bachmann. It doesn't matter. Even the old Athearn Blue Box, the same thing. If it's maintained, it'll last forever. You just have to know how to go in there and mess with it, clean it up. And one of the things, and I've got a buddy of mine, I know most of you have met Big John or know who Big John is. He's in the American Flyer S gauge. And his cousin has told him, he says, look, I've got some old HO stuff that I'd love to get running again. And I told Big John right off the bat, I said, tell him not to put that on the tracks. I said, tell him to have somebody, if you don't want to bring it down to me, that's fine. But have somebody go through that before you apply power to it. The reason being, and it's one of the things that Harrison and Ron from Classic Model Trains has brought up a couple different times, the grease, especially in these vintage locomotives, will turn to almost concrete. It just cakes up really, really hard. And if you go ahead and you don't clean these things up first and you just apply power to them, you're going to burn the motors out. You're going to destroy the windings, the whole 9 yards, and then it's going to be a problem. If you go ahead and basically what I call field stripping these, which is basically the same, it's what gun guys talk about, field strip. Take the thing all the way apart, take it down to its last nut and bolt, and you take everything apart, clean it up real good with, I like to use odorless mineral spirits. Denatured alcohol will do just fine. Something to clean all that grease up, and get it out of there. Wipe it down, dry it off, put it back together, and as you're putting it back together, you re-grease it, re-oil it. Depending on what you've got, you have to be very careful. These older locomotives actually use nylon gears. And the nylon has a tendency to crack and break. And that was one of the issues that Bachmann had, and even Lifelike had in the late 70s, early 80s. They went over they went over to nylon at one point, and then the nylon gears just did not hold up. And it's the reason why they went back to plastic. Obviously, metal gears would work a lot better, but metal gears get expensive after a while, unfortunately. And if they're going to keep costs down, they're going to go over to plastic. Well, thank you, Bob. I do appreciate that. I do appreciate once I get things straightened out over here, I am going to start putting together ops sessions. I've been saying it for months now, but I've really got to get over into that corner over there underneath the city and fix that connection issue that I've got before I can do anything. But yeah, if you even anybody that's in, of course, most of the folks that are in here know this already, but for anybody who is kind of newer to the hobby, if you pick up one of these vintage locomotives, do yourself a favor and either have somebody look at it or do it yourself. Take it apart. Make sure you I do the same thing. In fact, that's the reason why I use the egg crate. I've got little spots that I can put all the bolts and pieces that come out. So that's when I go ahead and put it back together, everything's right there. But clean it up and then put it on the track. Don't try to put it on the track without cleaning it up first. Yeah, that's what she said. All right, Caboose. Grandpa Rails, unfortunately, I think that issue that's right there, that house right now is, unfortunately, I think that's a done that's a done project for the moment. I don't know when I'm going to get back to that. I really don't know when I'm going to get back to that. Ain't going to be anytime soon, I can tell you that much. And to be honest with you, Russ, it's not just the vintage stuff. If you're buying anything used, and in fact, to be perfectly honest, even if I'm going out and buying and I've done this with a couple of brand new locomotives that I picked up a few years ago, I actually broke them. I actually took them apart to make sure that they actually, number one, had lubrication in there, and number two, that it was viable. Because the last thing that you want to do, especially with a couple of them that I picked up, they were a little bit more expensive than what I wanted to pay. That's the last thing you want to do is go ahead and put that sucker on the railroad, hit it, put power to it, and all of a sudden it's, we've released the blue smoke, a la Heath. It's just not, it's not a good thing. Go ahead, take it apart. Especially if it's the brand new locomotives, they've got a wonderful diagram that'll show you every place to go in there and look. Then there's two perfect points coming up here. Anthony Dodge, I agree, as a novice in some area, you open them up, you clean them up, make sure that they're good before you put power. Exactly. Because the last thing you want to do is burn out the brushes or burn out the motor, especially on something like these older ones that I have. Like these, you can't get parts for those anymore. You're taking a very big risk. Not that one there, or watch YouTube. And there's plenty of channels out there. Like I said, two of them that I like to watch, and there's more. But Ron over at Classic Model Trains and Harrison over at SMT. Harrison, actually, both of them have a tendency to get in there and start messing around and come up with different ideas as to how to fix the stuff. It's absolutely imperative to know how to get in there and clean up and work your own stuff, so that you don't have to send it to somebody or have to rely on somebody to fix it. Here it is. I've got stuff from Rodney, if he's still in here. I've still got some BL2s back there that I'm still going to get fixed for him to have cracked gears. I've got a couple of locomotives over here that belong to a buddy of mine, Eric, that I've been looking at for over a year now that I'm going to get parts for, and it's like, I haven't been able to get around to it. This year has been absolutely insane. Exactly, Rodney. You check it before you check it before you run it, unless you bought it for just like I did with one of these. Just bought the thing for parts. I've spent the last month doing this with all the stuff. Exactly. And the thing is, but Dodge, that Herb took care of his stuff. But again, you don't know the last time it was run. That's the problem. You don't know when the last time it was on the rails. So it's just one of those. It's just one of those things. And I've got a couple other. Where do you find traction tires for a TYCO GG1? I would imagine there are a couple of companies out there, Mike, that make traction tires. Most of them will fit. most of those will fit on the old TYCOs, or they should. You may have to go over to, depending, and it's been a while since I've seen a TYCO GG1, but I was going to say if it was like the normal GG ones, you might have to go with steam locomotive traction tires. Your best bet, reality, would be probably to go out and get some bullfrog snot. I've been hearing a lot of people doing that, instead of getting the actual O-rings. It's probably just as easy just to go ahead and do that. But sorry, I had something come up here a minute. So anyway, hair bands, there you go. One of the things that my dad actually found was eyeglass O-rings. If you put them in hot water and expand them, you can actually drop them over wheels too. Amazingly enough, that does work. But you do have to have them in some rather hot water. That didn't sound right. You had to have them in hot water? Yeah. It sounds like the story of my life. Or swap out the wheels with non-traction tired ones. Yeah, that's the way, but you're taking away from what the locomotive actually is. Miracle makes some of the best traction tires out there. You would have to figure out the right size. Yep, there you go. Or at least not the make ship models and artillery models. Okay. Let's see. I have a 10-year-old DCC never run. Should I take them apart? Absolutely. I would. I absolutely would, Al, because that grease, even a newer grease, will eventually cake up, and that's the last thing you want to do is have that get into the gears and jam them up. Let's see. I bought a perfectly running locomotive for parts since Mantua is no longer in business. Yeah, Ed, I hear you. I've been doing that. And Anthony just was responding back to what I was saying about, some of the stuff that Herb hadn't run in years. That's the reason why, even with the stuff that I've got on, the stuff that I've got over on the shelf, here it is. When I did the boxcar challenge, I went ahead and pulled out the 210-2 and the 282. Because I hadn't run them in a while. And it was like, well, this is perfect timing. I'm going to go ahead and run these things. And, clean them up, made sure that they were good, and then put them on the railroad and let them go. I have to do that with most of my locos. I don't run my stuff very often right now because I'm concentrating on structures and kits. My locos have become new old stock in their boxes. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if the stuff sits, I think I had heard somewhere along the way, if your locomotives sit for any more than a year to year and a half, it's probably best to take them to your workbench, take them apart, clean them up, and re-lubricate them. Put new grease and new oil in them. And the next thing somebody's going to ask, well, what do you use? To be perfectly honest, it depends on what scale you're running. With HO scale and smaller N scale, I would Bachmann and Atlas, and there's a couple other places that actually have oil specifically for model railroads. When you get over to the grease, the Super Lube, which comes from Amazon, is pretty good. I haven't had any issues with that. And I mean, you don't need a lot. As I've heard in the past, just a little bit less than too much. And so, it's just that way. So, you've got to weigh it out. I mean, when you get into the larger scales, S scale or S gauge, O gauge, even G, I think you're probably looking at maybe being able to use 3-in-1 oils And of course, the super lube works well there as well. There's no reason why you can't use the super lube, which is the grease, on the larger scales either. I mean, it's a good product. I highly recommend it. Actually, it's safe for plastics. It's good for metal. It's it's very good. So I pull. This is a model railroad channel. My HO scale model railroad is actually behind me. It's a work in progress. Tonight is Sidetrack Sunday. I'm one of 5 people that run these shows. We do this once a month. Well, I do them once a month, but everybody has a day. In fact, next Sunday will be John number 2 over at the Schuylkill River Valley, who is one of my moderators. So, most of my engines use a red tacky grease from O'Reilly's and a thin oil. Yeah, exactly. As long as it's safe for plastic, because you have to watch, especially in N and HO scale, you have to watch because it's mostly plastic. You have to make sure that the oil or the grease that you're using is safe for plastics, because if not, it's going to start eating away at it. Like I said, that's the reason why I've got the stuff. Originally, I bought it from Bachman, and I bought a bottle from Atlas. And I think the last time I was at a train show, I bought a bottle. It was a generic bottle, but again, it's a light oil specifically used for. Laugh out loud, Ed. That was good. That was right on time. I would expect nothing less from Ed from over at Happy Valley Hobbies. Oh boy. Oh geez. Anyway. So yeah, it's. I mean, I heard back in the day, and some of the I guess some of the folks that have been around the hobby longer than I have, I had heard the old timers, as I would call them, the guys that started this whole thing for us. They were using sewing machine oil. Whatever. Yeah, exactly. There it is. Sewing machine oil and hair clipper oil. I wasn't the only one that heard that. Adam, great minds think alike, I think. three and one oil. That's and gun oil. That's another one. Yeah, if you've got some of that floating around, yeah, that would work too. Again, you just have to use something that's good, that's going to be safe for plastics and metals. And with some of the locomotives that we've got, you don't know what you've got in there. You don't know if they're nylon. You don't know if they're plastic or what the thickness of that plastic is. And this is something I think that Opa Dodge had on his channel last night. They were talking about the gears that were cracking. And it's been all across all the manufacturers. All of them have had issues with gears cracking. It's just, they probably got them all from the same stinking place at one point in time. And, it was subpar plastic. And, after a few years, it cracks and it's no more good. But yeah. Run a track cleaning car around your, I do that. I've actually got 2 different types. One company is no longer in business. It was a company down in Texas called Track Guard, and all it is a piece of, I guess for lack of a better term, it's a piece of leather that I've strapped to the bottom of one of the 50-foot box cars, and I drag that around. The other one is something that's been around for ages. Taking a piece of hardboard like a masonite, putting 2 nails into it and putting that into the bottom of a boxcar too. The nice thing with that is you can actually take and sand it a little bit, and it'll take the grease and the gunk off that pad, and then you can run it around again. For larger scales, you might be okay with that. I actually found a problem using that on HO scale, believe it or not, Rodney. I actually found an issue with, and I think you're trying to kid there, but I'm being serious. I actually found a locomotive that somebody had used Vaseline on the gears, and the gears, it just destroyed them. It destroyed the whole gear mount. It was not good. So heard that Intermountain N scale had split gear issues, had 1 out of 5, but they replaced them, no issues since early. And it seemed like that was the problem. It was right around the early 2000s. I figured as much, but I was being serious. It was right because Atherin had the issue. Lifelike, who was cloning with their P2Ks, their Proto 2000s, same thing. They had the gear brake issues on their BL2s. So it went around. It floated through a lot of different manufacturers. It really did. So let's see, what is this? Used oil, hair clipper oil back in the old, yeah. Very thin layer, yep. Like I said, one of the things that I done is I actually used the odorless mineral spirits on a rag on here on this railroad, and I haven't had an issue with cleaning that at all, really. Lots of my Atlas had gear issues. Like I said, it went around. LaBelle is another one. Yeah, LaBelle makes some good stuff for the railroad community, and it is safe on the gears and the plastic gears, the metal gears, whatever you want. Let's see. You will get your train set back up and running after this chat, Paul. There's another good one. Yeah, RC grease oil. That could be a possibility. Again, used in moderation. I wouldn't see where that wouldn't be a problem. You just have to use it very lightly. I don't know how thick the RC grease is, but the oil should be okay because a lot of that's got plastic gears or plastic parts in it. So, well, welcome in there again, Paul. I appreciate you being here. Like I said, or like folks have been saying, this is basically a general on some my sidetrack Sundays. We just talk about a little bit of anything model railroad or railroad related. It just so happened tonight that I was talking about some antiques that I had because one of our community members turned around and sent me some parts so that I could fix one of my antiques. So I figured tonight would be a good night to do that, and that went well. Yeah, I wouldn't use car oil. I have heard of people using automatic transmission fluid, but I don't know about that either. I really don't know about using ATF. That just doesn't seem like a good idea to me. So anyway, like I said, we're actually already 15 minutes over. It's been a long day here. I spent most of the day putting up Christmas lights. Yay me. And cleaning up the yard first, getting rid of all the dead leaves. So, like I said, next week we've got John number 2 over at the Schuylkill River Valley. I'm not sure what he's got going for us, but I'm sure he's got something planned. It depends on how you're feeling there, rail artist. I mean, I'll be 55 in January, but I feel like I'm 90. But that's beside the point. You're only as old as you feel, I guess. Let's see. I've been working on model trains, fun hobby. Yeah, exactly. As a large yard, he has my sympathies. It's only a little over an acre. Don't use the ATF. It doesn't work. Okay, well, there we go. Ken's Back Shop. Welcome in. Haven't seen you around in a while, sir. Oh, man. All right. Well, anyway, like I said, we're a little bit over here. John number 2's got Sidetrack Sunday next week, 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern, after our Thanksgiving. So those of us that are over here in the States, happy Thanksgiving, because obviously we won't see each other until afterwards. So I appreciate you all hanging out with me for the last hour or so, and you all know the deal. Wait for the high ball. Green tracks ahead. We'll catch y'all next time. Be safe. God bless. We will see ya.